If you're a cloud architect, a database administrator, or an IT operations professional working with Oracle Cloud infrastructure, you know firsthand that keeping your systems reliable is absolutely crucial. It's your top priority, right? Well, in this explainer, we're tackling a very specific and honestly a very critical challenge, solving the observability gap in Oracle Integration Cloud. We're going to look at exactly how you can get total, end-to-end operational transparency across your entire integration landscape.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the agenda for today. Monitoring OIC, the design time audit gap, 3 log ingestion strategies, the recommended push method, and visualizing your audit logs.
Section 1. Monitoring Oracle Integration Cloud. Exploring out-of-the-box observability. Now, to establish our baseline, Oracle Integration Cloud gives you a really solid foundation right out of the gate. You got your standard dashboards for runtime health, system health, agent health, plus all your stats on integrations and scheduling. On top of that, OCI Logging Analytics takes your OIC service metrics and activity stream logs as standard telemetry sources, so you get these beautiful health overviews and time-taken analyses. For standard runtime environments, this is fantastic. It's a great start, but it's definitely not the whole story.
Which brings us to Section 2, the design time audit gap, the critical blind spot in standard logging.
Let me ask you this directly. With all those standard metrics we just talked about, what about tracking configuration changes? Think about it. If someone goes in and alters an integration design or tweaks a really critical workflow parameter, your standard activity stream logs simply aren't going to catch it. There's no record. And honestly, that is a huge blind spot for any enterprise architecture.
To actually fill that gap, we have to look at design time audit logs. Think of these kind of like the security cameras inside the restricted access areas of your building. Standard activity logs, well, they track who walks in the front door. But these design time audit logs provide a comprehensive record of the specific changes and actions taken inside the design time environment itself. Here's the catch, though. These records are totally excluded from your normal OIC activity stream logs. They don't integrate out of the box, and they're literally only accessible if you go through the OIC console or hit specific REST API endpoints.
So why even go through the effort of fetching them? Well, consider these use cases. If you're in infrastructure ops, these logs let you actually track configuration changes across all your integrations. For the security and governance folks out there, they are absolutely essential to detect unauthorized or suspicious activities. And for developers, having this specific audit trail means you can identify and troubleshoot design issues so much faster. The whole point here is total operational transparency.
Let's move on to Section 3, 3 log ingestion strategies, bridging the gap for Gen 2 and Gen 3.
Getting these logs from the OIC REST API over into OCI Logging Analytics generally falls into 3 distinct strategies. First, you have the push method using a custom integration. Second, the merge method. And third, the pull method utilizing the Logging Analytics API. So, looking at these 3, which one actually makes the most sense to deploy in a production environment?
That brings us to Section 4, the recommended push method, simplifying complexity and reducing overhead. Based on some pretty extensive research and testing detailed in our sources, the push method is the highly recommended path. The architecture for it is beautifully straightforward. Step 1, you just use an OIC custom integration to make a GET request to the OIC REST API, pulling those audit logs and dropping them right into a stage file. Step 2, you simply push that stage file over to Logging Analytics using their Log Upload REST API. That's it. It's clean, it's really easy to visualize, and it tightly orchestrates your data movement without adding a bunch of unnecessary complexity to your cloud architecture.
And what makes this push method even better is just how easily it scales for enterprise needs. You can add some great optional extensions to this flow. Want to save some budget? Just route those logs to the Logging Analytics archival storage tier. Need to maintain long-term regulatory compliance? No problem. You can push these audit logs directly into an object storage bucket and upload them via an object collection rule. It's incredibly flexible for whatever your governance team throws at you.
Now, what's really interesting about this particular architectural trade-off is quite clear. We're looking at some obvious pros here. Highly customizable orchestration and that flexible long-term retention we just talked about. But as IT professionals, we always have to acknowledge the cons, right? Because you're using an OIC custom integration to do the heavy lifting, there is going to be a slight additional workload impact on the OIC instances themselves. It's a pretty small price to pay for that level of visibility, but it is definitely something you need to factor into your capacity planning.
Just to fully understand why push really is the winner here, let's quickly evaluate those alternatives.
The merge method also uses a custom integration and completely avoids staging files, which sounds nice, but the audit logs come in XML format. That means you have to build in additional parsing logic, which just adds some truly annoying complexity. The pull method, on the other hand, requires zero custom integration on the OIC side. It uses a management agent plugin. The huge downside? You have to deploy and maintain an entirely separate virtual machine just to run that agent. Plus, the logs get associated with that VM rather than your actual OIC instance. For most ops teams, maintaining an extra VM is just way more overhead than a simple stage and push script.
Moving right along to Section 5, Visualizing your audit logs, transforming raw data into insights.
Let's move to how this all builds up to the final resolution phase, because when you successfully push those design time audit logs into your OCI logging analytics dashboard, this is the real payoff. So the crucial point is how this single aggregation point elevates your entire IT environment. You gain genuine operational intelligence through actionable insights. You drastically improve your security posture because, finally, you have an aggregated view to detect unauthorized access right at the design level. And you build a rock-solid compliance framework offering those invaluable audit trails that your auditors will absolutely love.
Which leaves us with this final thought. I want you to take a hard look at your own systems today. Does your current architecture provide a fully aggregated, compliant view across your entire integration landscape? If the answer is no, well, it might just be time to implement the push method and finally turn the lights on in those restricted areas. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and happy building.